There's a certain silence you hear in a neighborhood that used to feel full. It's not just quiet, it's hollow. The lawn is trimmed once every Saturday, now overgrown. A toy basketball hoop still leans forward in the driveway, unmoved in days. That one curtain always open, always lit, now drawn. It starts with a pause, then it becomes a pattern, then a trend, and the numbers surface only after the people have already left, because when demand dies quietly, the headlines come too late. California, long considered unshakable, is showing cracks where no one expected them, and they're growing. It's not just one city, it's not just small towns, it's not just the remote, the forgotten, the flyover. It's places people fought to get into, where offers came in over asking, where the American dream felt most golden, but now the gold feels sprayed on, and lately, it's starting to peel. Cut to drone shot, slow overcast pan across Modesto suburbs. There's something happening in California's housing market, something sharp and quiet and fast. Home prices collapsing in more places than they'll admit. People leaving, even from places that once felt permanent. But before we go any deeper, let's start with a simple truth. Every year, homes get smarter. Solar panels, cameras, apps to dim the porch lights at 6 p.m. and heat the floors when no one's home. And yet the decisions, they've never been harder, because in California, the hardest thing to measure is when to walk away. Let's begin where few expect collapse, the coast. Oxnard, where the real estate signs used to feel temporary, a 48-hour flash before the word sold snapped into place. But now, those signs linger like forgotten mailboxes, some twisted, some weathered, all waiting, all asking the same question: why aren't you buying? Because even on the coast, where salt air meets new stucco and the illusion of value stays strong, buyers have started whispering the word no, and sellers, they're hearing it now. Nearly 1 in 5 listings in Oxnard has faced a price cut in 2025. That isn't a correction, that's a signal. Signals don't shout, they blink. And in Oxnard, they've been blinking for months. Fresno, go inland. It's a name most buyers call safe. Mid-state, smaller city, lower prices, low enough you assume it's stable. But here's the thing, some won't say out loud. The phrase less expensive does not mean affordable anymore. Because if you live here, if you work here, then the homes that once sold for 3 times your salary now list for 6. And that beautiful cul-de-sac at Sunset, it's quiet, sure, but quiet like a conversation that never started. There's a certain kind of silence that isn't peaceful. It's pause, doubt, regret, and lately buyers in Fresno are listening carefully to that pause. Redfin shows an upward trend across multiple zip codes, price reductions, longer listings, slower turnovers. Not decline, not yet, but it's no longer a rise either. And in places once sold with phrases like hidden gem or up and coming, the tension is visible in the way days on market stretch, just enough to make everyone nervous. In the eyes of a spreadsheet, this is routine, data points, trends, market cycles, but on the ground, it's a couple arguing in a sunroom over whether to rent or sell. It's the tired sigh of a homeowner calculating insurance on a property they hope to leave to their kids but now just want out of. It's the dog leash still hanging by the front door even though the family moved last week. Migration stories don't get posted on Zillow, but they're real. It's in the rusting gate latch, the weeds between the cracks, the unopened letter from the HOA warning about paint chips. Imperfection tells the truth faster than trends. Lopic will bounce. It always does. California never really crashes, right? Except, ask Sacramento. Between 2020 and 2022, it exploded. Bidding wars, tech money, escapes from San Francisco, Zoom meetings from luxury vinyl kitchens with new subway tile backdrops. And then, abrupt silence. Mortgage rates went up, and the people who bought in 2021, they're not just stuck, they're frightened. Because no one tells you what it feels like to be upside down in a city everyone else is leaving. The price drop here has content creators scrambling and real estate influencers adjusting their thumbnails. But behind all the clickbait, the real image is simple. An open house with cookies on the counter, candles lit, music playing soft, and still, nobody walks through the door. Let's talk Los Angeles, because when even LA starts to pause, you know something bigger shifting. 200 neighborhoods, 4 million people, but housing has its own gravity. It used to pull up, lift everyone with it. A rising tide of square footage and granite counters. Now, it's a slow weight pulling down. Too many listings, too few buyers, too much waiting. Even in LA, the city made from sun, film, and fantasy, the shine is starting to dull, because eventually, buyers stop chasing sunset views if the mortgage means missing dinner. And here's the hard truth, emotion inflates a market, math deflates it. In 2025, LA prices are caught between both, not falling like bricks, but not floating anymore either. Suspended, stalling, like a plane mid-flight, waiting for clearance to land. And if you think this is all anecdotal, look at inventory, look at Dom, look at how many homes have staged staged photos, and no pending offers. This isn't fear-mongering. This is pacing. The real estate rhythm is changing, and the smartest buyers aren't even buying. They're watching, they're pausing, they're doing something we often forget to do in high-stakes housing climates. They're listening, not to headlines, not to hype, but to the absence of movement. And sometimes the loudest signal is how little is being said. Let's move south. San Diego. It still smells like salt. The breeze still slides smooth across back porches and morning espresso. Palm trees still line the streets like an afterthought. Too pretty to be planned. But San Diego's housing market, that's less serene, because behind those pastel homes and Spanish tiles, it's shaking. Not loudly, not yet, but enough for those paying attention to notice. Demand is thinning. You can disguise a slowdown for a while, with better photos, with fresh staging, with cheerful captions and soft filters, but you can't retouch the truth. Buyers are seeing through the gloss, and sellers, for the first time in years, are blinking first. Here's what that looks like in real life. A young couple walks through a 2-bedroom condo. She imagines a nursery. He runs his fingers across the balcony rails, thinking about the cost of the HOA. The staging is flawless. Music playing. Vanilla candles burning. Still, by the time they get back into the car, they know. Too much. Let's wait. It's a sentence floating around every open house now. Whispered more than spoken. Common. Casual. Wise. And that might be the biggest shift of all. Buyers have become patient. Let's pause here, not just in the story, but in the way the economy breathes. For years, California's housing engine ran hot, fueled by scarcity, supercharged by FOMO, energized by emotion masked as strategy. But 2025 feels cool, not cold, just eerily still. Listings rise, reductions spread, buyers pull back, migration charts tilt. Not just away from one city, but from the dream of California itself. What's happening? Try this. When the stories change faster than the spreadsheets, you know emotion is leaving the market. And when emotion leaves, prices follow. Take Bakersfield. Not flashy, not coastal, not techland, just everyday life. Once known for stability, now known for exits. The tell? Look closer at small things. The trampoline in the neighbor's yard is no longer upright. It leans back, tilted, abandoned. The Amazon packages on the porch go untouched a little longer. The grass that once had sharp mowing lines now grows wild, bordering brown in the December chill. And the for sale sign? It's firm in the soil, but the sun has bleached the edges. Bakersfield is seeing price corrections, yes, but what matters more is the why. Job growth has stalled, inventory is climbing, and people aren't upgrading anymore. They're downsizing by choice or by force. The city that once served as an affordable refuge is starting to feel like a stopover, not a destination. Now to Riverside. It had every ingredient of the modern housing pitch. Sunshine, schools, commutes that seem sustainable on paper, yards, a Target 10 minutes away, a home office where a Zoom call doesn't catch kitchen noises. But even that couldn't hold the line. Why? Because when prices rise faster than paychecks, you don't lose interest, you lose ability. It's not about ambition fading, it's about exhaustion growing. Today's young family isn't skipping Riverside because they don't want the home. They're skipping it because in their math, it no longer adds up. And at some point, math always wins. Let's revisit that idea of illusion. You've heard this before. They don't sell you the best home, they sell you the best illusion. It's curated perfectly. The open concept kitchen, the scent of pine on the welcome mat, the overhead drone footage of still pools and sunset walks. But what they can't package is this: the sound of silence when after all the prep work, no one makes an offer. The stomach drop when you realize the home you bought in 2022 is now worth less. Not because you messed up, but because the market moved and you didn't. This is what California's correction looks like. Not devastation, just discomfort, stretched. The feeling that the rules quietly changed and someone forgot to send a memo. We need to talk about Stockton, because nobody wants to talk about Stockton. It's a place that once symbolized recovery, then growth, then breakout, but now it's unraveling. The average buyer doesn't wake up excited to live in Stockton. They wake up there because it offered something the Bay Area didn't. Just enough space at just enough price. But now, price isn't the draw anymore. Because even lower priced homes can become overpriced when the demand disappears. That's exactly what's happening here. The migration that lifted Stockton has now stopped moving in and started moving out. California isn't broken, but it is correcting. And if that word feels cold, clinical, lacking empathy, it's because no real estate term can carry the full emotional weight of watching a neighborhood dim one porch light at a time. Waplytom one spelten porch light at a time. We talk about homes like assets, but they're much more. They're moments. coffee on the back deck before work, the sound of a child stumbling in socks on hardwood floors, the hollow ache of the hallway after someone moves out. Real estate is just a currency for these moments, and yet, watching them vanish not from eviction, foreclosure, or disaster, but from quiet departure, it hurts in a way no chart can explain. You can't Zillow that. Let's slow down for a real moment. Picture this. A young woman sits in her kitchen scrolling Redfin quietly at midnight. It's not about dreaming, it's about surviving. Every home she looks at is marked 5 days ago, price/motivated seller. Once, that would feel like opportunity. Now, it just feels like uncertainty. She sips cold tea, her partner sleeps in the next room, and all she's trying to find is a place where they can live, not just lease, not just exist, but actually live. And lately, that feels impossible. This is the human cost of a housing shift. Not just numbers, not transactions, but dreams paused, plans rewritten, bridges quietly burned. Because whatever you think of California's housing market, investor alert, bubble burst, buyer's revenge, one thing is clear: people are leaving. Not all, not loudly, not in protest, but in resignation. A tired, analytical, emotion-choked decision to move somewhere they never wanted because the place they loved no longer makes sense. That's heavier than price drops. It's heavier than charts. It's what happens after the trend ends and real life picks up. Somewhere between the beach and the state line sat the dream, a place with 72-degree winters, wide streets, vertical gardens, and grocery stores that still had zesty kale and overpriced kombucha. To many, California wasn't just a home, it was a vision, a landscape as curated as the lives people crafted within it. But even dreams, when stretched thin, when borrowed too far, when built on misunderstood timelines, can start to blur. And right now, the clarity is fading. Let's talk about the city many didn't expect to top this list: Sacramento, California's capital, a pandemic boomtown, a migration hub, a prize for those fleeing the burn of San Jose or San Francisco. It was billed as the next big thing: space, schools, speed, walkable, affordable, green, better. But beneath the optimism, too quick, too hot, too much money, too fast. Investors poured in like spilled concrete, hardening expectations that didn't match the foundation. By 2025, the music had stopped. Homes that saw 12 offers in 48 hours 3 years ago now sit untouched. Redfin shows price slashes across multiple zip codes. Reventure lists 1 in every 4 listings marked down. These aren't small cuts. These are deep, quiet recalibrations. Because Sacramento didn't fall by catastrophe. It fell through timing. And timing can be cruel. Robert, you can feel it in the rhythm of weekend streets. Moving trucks arrive, but not nearly as many as the for rent signs would suggest. A porch swing that swayed with laughter last summer now swings in silence. A family that arrived chasing peace now scrolls U-Haul deals to Texas. And the irony, they're leaving the affordable city because it's not affordable anymore. And the pattern repeats again and again and again and again, until the very maps we used to define homeownership potential begin to feel obsolete. Let's step back for a second. From metros, from metrics, from all the state-specific headlines. Zoom out, because what's happening in California, it's not only Californian, it's a warning disguised as trend. It's the fine print no one reads in urban development, mixed-use zoning, and tech-driven gentrification. It's the result of years of optimism untethered to income, of forgetting the fundamental truth. It's not about what homes are worth, it's about what people can pay and what they're willing to risk. So when a family decides not to move, or when a couple backs out of escrow, or when the open house sign never makes it out after week 2, it isn't a statistical anomaly, it's a chapter in a quieter book being written street by street. Should you abandon homeownership? Should you move to a city where no one wants to live just to afford a lifestyle you no longer love? Not exactly, but you should listen closer, because wisdom doesn't always come from economists. Sometimes it comes from the mother who sells in Riverside and downsizes into an apartment near her daughter, or the school teacher in Modesto who stays put, not because she can't move, but because she's finally stopped chasing appreciation, or the couple who buys a fixer-upper in Stockton, not to flip it, but to stay in it for years. Because sometimes the only win is stability, and stability wasn't trending on TikTok this year, but maybe it should. Here's the truth, they don't package with smart thermostats or kitchen islands. A home only works if you can breathe in it. That means more than vaulted ceilings, more than solar panels or 2 sinks in the primary bathroom. It means peace, room, margin, survival. And lately, even some of California's proudest buyers have started whispering a new kind of regret. Not that they owned, but that they jumped too soon, that they mistook urgency for opportunity. Think about this. The collapse isn't always explosive. Sometimes it's subtle, a drip, not a flood, a shift in the wind more than a visible storm, a sticker-reduced tag on a home with perfect curb appeal. And yet, the impact just as real. But let's not pretend this is all falling. Not everything is burning down. There's a strange kind of balance returning. The artificial lift is fading, and what remains? Something older, simpler, more honest. Buyers pausing, sellers accepting, markets breathing. Realtors who used to wear urgency like a medal now talk slower when they show homes. Investors aren't flipping, they're holding. And for every city that makes this list, 10 more are watching from the sidelines, quietly wondering, are we next? So, is this the end? No, it's just a recalibration, and recalibration hurts when you're not ready, when you've built everything on the assumption that property only climbs. But here's the gift hidden in the heart of collapse: clarity. We are finally seeing what these homes are really worth, not in price, but in purpose. It was never just about square feet, it was about how secure those feet felt when you walked across them. And it still is. So if you're following this journey, watching California crack, don't panic, but don't look away either, because correction doesn't mean chaos. It means someone somewhere finally asked, what is this really worth to me? And that's the smartest question you can ask in a market like this. They want one that's smart enough to work. Before you go, hit that subscribe button. We don't just review, we expose. From the hype to the hidden failures to the tricks brands hope you'll never question. So tap subscribe, hit like, and join thousands of smart viewers who already know smart spending starts with asking smarter questions.